Okay, so you will have just finished looking at the source questions on the Germany paper, and we scroll down and we can see that we have another set of multiple choice questions where we got two choices this time rather than three. And just the same as when we did medicine through time, we have to make sure we check through the entire question before we make our decision. So let's have a little look at question 6 to start off with. Question 6 is about 1934 Hitler and consolidating power. So it's really key that we get those dates and the name and the consolidation of power. Okay, so most of that is important, but it tells us straight away that that's what the question is going to be about. Up to 1934 Hitler and how he consolidated power, how he made it more secure. So let's look at question 6a. It's a briefly described question. Again, it's worth saying again, for a 5-mark briefly described question, you are looking for 5 different facts or details that you can describe that line up with the topic of the question. So let's have a look at the question. Briefly describe the events in 1932 and 1933 that led to Hitler becoming Chancellor. So the first thing to be aware of is that is a very, very tight date range. It's not talking back to 1922 when Hitler joined the Nazis and made them more popular. We are talking about the events of 1932 and 1933, so just the very last little bit that led to Hitler becoming Chancellor. So let's make sure that we are using the correct content in that answer. Question 6b, we've got an explain question again, an explain question worth 7 marks, which means we are looking for 2 different things that we're going to explain. So we've got explain why increasing numbers of people voted for the Nazis in the period 1928 to 1933. So the thing we're looking to explain is why increasing numbers voted for the Nazis. Why did more people vote? So we're looking for one reason, we're going to explain why that led to people voting for the Nazis, and then we're going to have a separate reason why people voted for the Nazis and how it helped them. And the date range is a little bit more favourable this time around. We've got 1928 up to 1933, so 5 years to pick from, and there's a number of different things you could write about there. And then finally we come to question 6c, which is which was more important in helping Hitler to consolidate his power, the Reichstag fire or the Night of the Long Knives? Explain your answer. Remember, this is an 8-mark question, it's a comparison question, and this one is actually quite an easy one to see. We're looking at the Reichstag fire versus the Night of the Long Knives as important in helping Hitler. So on the one hand, the Reichstag fire was important because of these reasons, and on the other hand, the Night of the Long Knives was important because of these reasons. And then you come to your overall conclusion as to which one you think was actually more important. So there we have 6a, b and c, all of them very much about Hitler consolidating his power. You would have a look through each part of those before then making your decision about whether you wanted to attempt question 6 or not. Right, so the last question on the paper, last choice could be question 7 that you're going to answer. So let's have a look at the sentence that introduces question 7, and it says the Nazi regime affected different groups in different ways. So we're going to be really, the focus is on different groups in Nazi Germany and how they were affected differently. So we are likely to see questions about women, maybe the workforce, possibly the Jews. So let's have a little look at question 7a. Briefly described question again, 5 marks, looking for 5 different facts, 5 different details, and we are looking at briefly describe the Nazi attitudes towards Jews. So you'd be looking for 5 different things that the Nazis said about the Jews. And that would be what you're looking to do, just describing them, just listing them within one paragraph. When we come to question 7b, again it's an explain question, worth 7 marks, so we're looking to explain 2 things, whatever the question is asking us. So let's have a look at the question. Explain how the Nazis changed the lives of women between 1933 and 1945. So the key words here, women. The date range is 1933 to 1945, and we're looking at change. So for this answer we would be looking at the Nazis did this for women and it changed their lives in this way, And then there's another example of something the Nazis did for women, and this is how it changed their lives. So those would be your two explanations in answer to that question. And then finally we come to question 7c, which is an 8-mark question. Remember, we're looking for the comparison as we read it. How successful were the Nazis in winning the loyalty and support of young people in Germany? Explain your answer. So, like previous questions, it's not always straight away obvious where the comparison comes, but we're looking here at how successful. So they either were successful, and here's some examples, or they weren't successful, and here's some other examples. So let's just have a little look at what the other keywords in the question are. Loyalty and support, and young people. So the focus is on the young people, and we would be looking at how successful the Nazis were in winning the support and loyalty of those young people, versus, here's some examples, as I said earlier, of when they weren't so successful, before then coming to an overall conclusion stating whether you think they were successful or unsuccessful overall. So these are the 3 parts to question 7. And as before, with Medicine Through Time, you would look through all 3 parts of question 6, all 3 parts of question 7, and then make your choice about which one you would like to attempt, making sure you're not just basing your decision on part A or just part B. You need to feel that you can answer all 3 parts of that question.